like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week.
Ice has the ability to preserve certain materials well. No wonder we keep our food in the freezer. However, some items found in the ice have been so well preserved that they surprise us and form real puzzles. From World War battlefields to mysterious islands, let's have a look at some of the most mysterious things found frozen in time. Number 10. An entire World War battlefield. I did not witness the World War, and I bet you didn't witness it either. But how did we learn about the war and the worldwide devastation? Well, history books and documentaries are major sources of knowledge. The level of destruction we read in books is nothing compared to the actual effects of the World War. How do I mean? Many casualties from the war were not recorded because some bodies were never recovered. Thus, the death figures from the war are estimated. The Telegraph reports that there were more casualties from extreme cold than the war itself. Thousands of people died in the mountains and other odd places, but their bodies were never discovered until global warming. Due to global warming, most of these mummified bodies were revealed, and the world was in awe. Around northern Italy's town of Pio, swords, spears, steel helmets, bows, and other relics from the war were discovered. Historians even discovered an entire cabin crew preserved below the ice. Their attire showed that they were soldiers deployed to fight in the war. Personal effects like photographs, newspapers, and pieces of art were also recovered from the ice. As a result of this discovery, many lost bodies were returned to their families for burial. Number 9. Pygmy woolly mammoth. Mammoths have always fascinated people. From the creatures of the earliest known cave paintings and carvings to 20th century practitioners of modern art and even today's tourists, humans have tried to grasp the essence of this magnificent creature. We have mentioned woolly mammoths quite often in our videos. Now, it's time to introduce you guys to the most recent species of woolly mammoths that lived just around 4,000 years ago. These pygmy woolly mammoths lived on Siberia's Wrangel Island until they were plagued by genetic problems, carrying DNA that increased their risks of diabetes, developmental defects, and low sperm count. Pygmy mammoths varied from 4.5 to 7 feet high at the shoulders and may have weighed only around 2,000 pounds, compared to the 14-foot-tall, 20,000-pound Colombian mammoth. In other reports, they were probably similar, with short fur, a typical mammoth body form, and a relatively large head. Number 8. 25-million-year-old lake. Here at number 8 is the lake that has baffled scientists for years. In 2012, Russian scientists took on an unusual discovery route. Customarily, they expected to find something new, but I bet they didn't prepare for this shocker. After drilling over 2 miles below the landscape of Antarctica, they found Lake Vostok under the surface of the East Antarctic ice sheet. Ordinarily, this lake ought to exist in our favorite fictional books or movies, but far from that. Scientists discovered this lake right under the ice. They were not staggered by this lake. There was more to it than meets the eye. Would you expect a lake buried in ice to be habitable? Certainly not. When researchers took samples from this lake to the laboratory, they realized that some living organisms dwelled in this lake. For a lake that has existed for millions of years, one would expect it to be lifeless. As expected, the species of bacteria found in the lake was unfamiliar. They were alien-like and perceived to have existed for thousands of years. Aside from this lake, several others are buried under Antarctica's ice sheet that are yet to be discovered. Antarctica is a bag full of surprises, and there is more that lies within for every surprise you unveil. Number 7. A deadly virus. Great, something else we have to worry about. Viruses that have been frozen in time might any day be released into the modern world. Global warming is a phenomenon that causes ice caps to melt. This melting of ice caps is doing more dangers than we are even aware of. While the overall knowledge that global warming is negative, the effects are much more drastic. The melting of the ice reveals new viruses that were frozen in time. Only a few years ago, a few hundred feet under the tundra of Siberia, a deadly virus was discovered, and it was still active. The virus is said to be over 30,000 years old, so there is no known cure for this. The virus was nicknamed the pathos virus due to its elongated size when examined. The virus is said to be the largest virus on Earth. However, not to worry, the disease won't affect humans, but only that of amoebas. While there isn't a direct concern, this certainly doesn't disprove the larger viruses could be deadly to humans waiting to be freed from the ice chambers. Number 6. A dinosaur. Dinosaurs are one of those prehistoric animals that many have fantasized about being resurrected, but despite the ominous warnings of the Hollywood blockbusters, it is in our nature to pursue our curiosity. The well-preserved remains of a baby Camosaurus belly were discovered in Alberta, Canada in 2015. The Camosaurus was a horned dinosaur once found in Alberta's Badlands and is known to be a relative of the Triceratops. A paper on the discovery was published in 2016, which said that the body of the baby dinosaur was 75 million years old and predominantly whole. Some of the creature's skin also left an impression on the rock it was found on, and the skeleton was fully intact except for the arms. The baby Camosaurus find was a boon to researchers, since it is so rare to find a baby specimen of this species that hasn't been eaten or otherwise torn apart. The 1.5 meter long fossilized baby was about 3 years old when it died, possibly because of drowning 72 million years ago. Number 5. Moose. It is surprising enough to find any animal frozen in ice, so imagine finding 2 moose together, which was already a rare animal, frozen under the ice with their antlers out. Schoolteacher Brad Webster and a friend made the unusual discovery of 2 of those bull moose partly frozen under the ice, locked at the antlers. The 2 men found the moose while walking along the frozen area about 10 miles outside of town. With the help of a few more people, they removed the animals from about 8 inches of ice covering open water, recovering some of the spoiled meat for dog food and trapping bait. Webster said the meat was left at the site for anyone wanting it. It was the end of moose rutting season, and the animals likely were fighting over a female moose. Webster said that one of the animals was wounded by the other animal's antler and perhaps died as their antlers were caught together, dragging the rival down with it. Anything can happen in Alaska. Number 4. Treasures. Ice is a great concealer of treasure and expensive jewels. In 2012, an anonymous French climber was fortunate to find a treasure trove hidden deep in the ice. This discovery happened on Mount Blanc. He coincidentally found a small box containing 100 precious stones ranging from rubies, sapphires, and emeralds. He handed the box over to native authorities. The precious stones are valued at around $325,000. Scientists later discovered that the box was from a crashed Air India flight in January of 1966. Because of the location of this crash, the aircraft was not recovered until several years later. This treasure discovered in Mount Blanc was one in 100 of other treasures recovered below the Earth's surface. In 2020, the British Museum displayed similar treasures recovered from an archaeological site in Siberia. These treasures were said to be over 28,000 years old. Amongst the items found were jewelry made from various ivory, sewing needles, and ivory modeled dog sleds. The Yana rhinoceros horn in Siberia is rich in relics of ancient human history, and gradually those items are being exposed. As the permafrost melts, historical treasures dating thousands of years are recovered. Number 3. Lena horse. A 42,000-year-old foal discovered frozen in Siberian permafrost contained a surprise, the oldest liquid blood on record. The Lena horse foal was found in the Batagata crater in eastern Siberia. The foal was 1 to 2 weeks old and stood 39 inches at the shoulder when it died, drowning in mud. Remarkably, the icy permafrost preserved the foal's skin and hair down to the tiniest detail. There was even well-preserved urine still inside the foal's bladder. According to the scientists, the liquid blood was a surprise. Typically, blood coagulates or turns to powder even in well-preserved carcasses, because fluids gradually evaporate over thousands of years. The horse autopsy revealed a lot about the Pleistocene Siberia, as researchers got to study the biochemistry of preserved urine, gut contents, and organs. Number 2. Frozen fox. 26-year-old Jeffers Sandstrom from Sweden was ice skating on a lake in Jönköping. when he was stunned to find a frozen fox in the lake. In his interview, he said he was hesitating on whether he should go ice skating that day, but decided that it should be fine since temperatures were below zero the whole week. The ice was supposed to be 3 to 5 centimeters thick, yet after a few minutes of his ice skating, he heard a cracking sound and saw something unbelievable stuck in the ice. Although he couldn't believe his eyes and thought it was some trash at first, he soon realized that it was in fact a fox. The fox had probably fallen into the ice and tried to get away by swimming when it froze to death. The pictures of the fox look extremely terrifying, to say the least. It's like something out of a horror movie. Number 1. Frozen islands. We're in the midst of the 21st century, and it seems that we're finally coming to a point where every piece of land around the world has been discovered. However, with so much ice in the world, it only makes sense that some chunks of land haven't been discovered by modern-day experts and are well preserved in cold temperatures. This is the case of some islands around Greenland that had been hidden from society until recently. From 1999 all the way to 2014, a group of islands started to emerge in the northwestern part of Greenland. Scientific research credits global warming for these discoveries, as the apparition of the islands happened due to glaciers returning quickly and giving way to undiscovered masses of land. This event has forced maps to be redrawn, so the new pieces of land that were unknown to us can now be included. If the ice keeps retreating in the way it did over the last 20 years, we might witness more land discoveries soon. Should we be excited or worried? What do you think about this list? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.